another thing I wanted to ask you too, and you've like we said, been around the team for a while. You've been covering the team. As far as like J. Rob and Mike Vrabel's relationship, do you know anything as far as like how they worked? I mean, was it didn't Vrabel have a lot of say so in what J. Rob was doing?
Look, in all I can say is what I know of the way things are generally done. All right. When a GM signs a deal, it usually includes in there they have final say on the roster. Okay.
Right.
That they have. It's like head coaches. I talk about this all the time. People want the team to fire his assistants. Head coaches have control over their coaching staff. It's just that simple. You try to take that away, they quit. Look, Mike Malarkey forced his firing, and J. Rob forced him into that position because he wanted to get rid of him, and he pulled the Terry Trubisky card. And this would be the same way. You know, if Vrabel wanted a bigger seat at the table, which is pretty evident, right? You agree with that?
Yeah.
Okay. Amy can't go to J. Rob and say, I know in your contract it says you get final say of everything, but we need to amend that. I need you and Mike to work as a consensus together. Okay. So you can't just make all the decisions by yourself. You and Mike need to work them out. She can't do that. J. Rob's not gonna say, okay, cut my power, right? And so she's got to make a clean cut and get somebody else in who's willing to work with the head coach. As far as how closely they work together, you always saw them together on draft day, right? You always saw them sitting side by side. But what I couldn't get over, and look, this is just me reading what I see. All right.
Right.
When Vrabel first got here, they're dancing on stage together. They're hand in hand. They're chummy. And then the last 2 years, I don't know if I saw the two guys look at each other. I mean, they would sit down, they'd answer questions, then the few times they were together, and then they would get up and go in opposite directions. And I was like, this is not the same relationship that it was. That doesn't mean that I'm saying that they were fighting or that they hated each other, but it's not what it was when they first got here. When they first got here, they were two peas in a pod, two kids at the lunch table together. And I don't think they were sitting at the same lunch table anymore when it was over. That's just my perception. That's not anything I know for sure.
Right. And I wonder where it took a turn, if that's the case.
Yeah,
you know
well, I mean,
like,
I think yes. I think you could look at, was Tom Brady a factor? I don't know. I think Julio Jones was a factor. Okay, that's obviously not a Vrabel guy, and I have to think that A.J. Brown was a really big straw on the camel's back. I mean, Vrabel pounded the table that he wasn't going to get traded, and he's been a good soldier, saying that they agreed on it. But when you're as adamant as he was that he wasn't getting traded, and then also, what has he said about Jeffrey Simmons when asked about Jeffrey Simmons' future? He's under contract. Okay?
Yeah.
So that's the way. And Vrabel was a player. He knows what it's like to be hammered under a contract. All right? But he doesn't care. All right? They're under contract. And he knows they've got Jeffrey this year, they've got him next year, and they got him the year after that if they want. And if he doesn't want to play, then it's on him. But if he wants to negotiate under those circumstances, they'll probably negotiate under those circumstances. But I think the AJ trade, that, if you are a race car driver and somebody took away your fifth gear, you'd probably be pretty hacked off.
Yeah.
And I think somebody removed his fifth gear because that was bad.
Yeah.